I'm going to talk about how I make crio brew, hot cacao or hot cocoa or cocoa tea, brewed cocoa. It goes by a lot of different names. And crio brew is just a brand name. It's the one I happen to use, but there's lots of different sources for essentially it's ground up cocoa bean. I don't really like sweet stuff, but I do like chocolate. And so this is kind of how I do both. It's a pretty simple method. For a long time, I just used a French press and it was okay, but what I found was that it just seemed kind of weak and watery. When you open it up, it smells like the best hot cocoa ever, but with the French press, it was kind of weak and watery, and it was okay, but I didn't love it. Then I found this way, and it's what I use all the time. Plus, I only have to do it every 3 or 4 days. So I'm going to share with you how I go about doing it. So the first thing you're going to need is a pressure cooker, Instapot. This is a Ninja Foodie, I believe, but some type of a pressure cooker. Most people have these around their house these days. So it's super simple. First off, just make sure you don't want the air fryer attachment. If you've got that, you want the pressure cooker attachment. Then all I'm going to do is put in 6 cups of water. Just so happens my blender holds 6 cups, so it makes it super convenient. Then a half a cup of ground cacao or cocoa, however you want to say it. And put it in there. Now, when you put it in, a lot of it will float on top. I spent a lot of time trying to get it to sink, mixing it in and stuff. Pretty much all I did was make a big mess. And so what I found is that the pressurizing method pretty much causes it all to sink to the bottom. So don't worry about that. Then from here, it's really an easy process, which is the other reason that I like it. So we're just going to shut it. Then simply turn it on. It's not going to like the air fryer method. So you got to put on the steam pressurized lid. Make sure that it's not inventing. Then you're going to want to push pressure. I use high for 10 minutes and then a 10-minute depressurization, after which I release all the pressure. I found if it goes longer than that, it does get kind of bitter, which I don't like as much. And actually the bitter's okay, but it gets kind of burnt. And then just going to push start. It's going to take about 10 or 15 minutes to get to where it's pressurized. Then it'll cook for 10. And then once it's done cooking, I actually like to turn it off because I find that it does tend to depressurize just a little quicker if you turn it off. All right, it's been 10 minutes since I turned it off. Now there's still pressure in there, so we're going to need to turn the pressure relief valve. I like to put just a little washcloth over the top of it. Just keeps stuff a lot cleaner. So I'm going to release the pressure. Next thing you're going to need is your French press. You don't absolutely have to have this, but it does help. And then you're going to want a mason jar if you're making it for yourself. If you're making it for a group, then you won't need the mason jar. So we'll just wait for that to stop venting. Alright, it's done venting and it smells delicious. I'll just pull the lid off. Remember, there will be steam that comes out, so don't put your hand in the way. And once it's finished, it'll look like that, so you can see all of our ground cocoa when the water just fine. So now, next step's pretty simple. You don't necessarily have to use a French press for this, but I have the one, so I use it. And then additionally, depends whether you're the type of person that likes pulp in your orange juice or not. If you are, then you probably don't need to strain it. If you don't like pulp in your orange juice, you probably won't like grounds in your hot cocoa. So now I'm just going to pour as much liquid as I can into the French press. I'm not that great of a pourer, so I like to do this step in the sink. So I pour it essentially all the way full. Then go ahead and stick that back there for a minute. To remove all the grounds, just simply use your French press. Then remember, this jar will get really hot once it's full of liquid. Then I'm going to just simply put the lid on, and this will go in the fridge, and I'll use this for breakfast tomorrow, or for the next couple of days actually. One thing that will happen once you put it in the fridge, there will be a lot of fat droplets that form right here on the top part of the mason jar. That's normal. I like to give everything a little bit of a shake before I use it in the morning anyways. So that'll just go in the fridge. Then, and if you don't stir it up, then you won't get a lot of grounds in that first batch. But next, we'll just finish, empty the rest of the pot. This will be a little harder to push down just because there's a lot more grounds. So one of my favorite things is making chocolate milk with the grounds, and then I actually enjoy eating the grounds after I make chocolate milk with them. So what I'm going to do is, so I'll show you how I prepare it as well. So once the rest of it's in there, then you can drink that right away, or you can get another jar. Alright, so once you're done squeezing the grounds, then this is where I make my chocolate milk. It's not super chocolatey, but it's not too bad either. So I like to get all the grounds I can. So I'll take a little bit of milk and I'm going to put a little bit more milk in there. And then I like to get the grounds off of my press. And you won't get them all, but I like to get as many as I can. And I'm really good at spilling in this process, so hopefully you're better at that than I am. And there's always a few grounds left. So I like to fill the mason jar about halfway full. And with a lot less grounds in here, we're going to get a chance to get rid of some more of the grounds. Now I'll just let this sit in the refrigerator for 24 or 48 hours. And then I'll just drink it as chocolate milk. That's one of my favorites. Alright, now if I'm making crio brew, And there's just enough for a cup left, so that's perfect. I have this, I don't even know what you call it. It's a mug with a little stirrer in the bottom, and it will actually whip cream and use it for teas, but it also will heat stuff. So in the morning, this is how I heat it up. I put it in here and then heat it up, and then I like, you can just use milk, soy milk, whatever you like. I like a little bit of cream, so I'm going to fill it up to the maximum line. And then I don't like having whipped cream on top, so I'm just going to get a little bit of whipping action. We'll stir it. This will go pretty quick because it's already hot, and so it's got a temperature sensor. A little bit of cream in it. It smooths it out a lot. I really like it. At this point, I don't put any sweetener in there, but if you put some sweetener in there, I think it would be pretty close to regular hot chocolate, except I think a little better. That's how I make my hot cocoa. Let's go on to the next skill.